The other day I did a braking tips video and its feedback was pretty good, so I thought of this new idea, and what I'm going to do is make a sim racing tip video each Monday. I might change the day if it works better, but I'll do this each week. It'll be a random tip or two each time covering different aspects of sim racing, and it might just help improve your sim racing experience. I'll still do dedicated sim racing tip videos on more specific topics from time to time, but this is just something a little extra. This will be the first video, and for today's tips we're going to be taking a look at a couple things. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about understanding the right time to battle. So you're in a race and maybe you're catching a car in front of you, or maybe you're defending and a car behind you is catching up. Now it might be tempting to get right into a battle and try to get past them as quickly as possible, but this often will end up with you hitting them or them hitting you. And maybe you do get side by side with them and end up having a nice little battle, but you need to understand when the right time to do this is, because if you're just throwing the car around left and right trying to get past this person and it's not working out, you're just going to be costing yourself time and they're going to be losing time as well. One example might be is if you're defending somebody, if somebody's behind you and they're faster than you, if it's the start of the race and you've got a long race ahead of you, it's not going to be worth defending the entire race long, because you're not going to be driving your optimal racing line, you're going to be costing yourself lots of time, and if there's people in front of you pulling away, you're not going to have a chance to catch them because you're driving slowly trying to keep this person behind you from getting past. Honestly, it'll probably be more worth letting them through towards the start of the race and trying to trail behind them and pick up some pace, because if they're faster than you, you might just benefit from being behind them. However, if it's getting closer towards the end of the race and somebody behind you is catching up to you and they're faster than you, then it's worth defending. If you really think you can hold on for the last few laps of the race, then go for it. Another thing that I see way too often is people refusing to let go of a position. They'll defend, they'll block, they'll do all sorts of crazy stuff just to make sure that person behind doesn't get through, even if they end up sacrificing themselves. It's not a sensible way to race. You're going to be costing yourself tons of time, and you're risking everybody's race around you. You need to know at some point, if somebody's behind you and they're faster than you and they've thrown the car alongside you legally, then you need to let go of the position. You can't just turn in on them, you can't smash them off the track. You got to race fairly. And like I said before, if the car behind you is faster, it might just be worth having them in front of you, so you can drive behind them, maybe learn some new lines, pick up some pace. And you also need to know when the right time to attack is. So if you're a car catching up on another car, you can't just immediately send it as soon as you catch up to them, because you don't know how they're going to brake. You don't know how they're going to turn. They might turn early, and if you go for a send up the inside, you're going to go straight into the side of them. They may brake early and you're going to go straight into the back of them. So when you catch up to somebody, spend at least a lap or half a lap, a few corners, just understanding their way of driving, because you don't want to do it too early and end up off the track or destroyed car. Also learn which corners are good for overtaking. There's also far too many occasions where people stick their car up the inside of somebody else in a really fast turn where the risk is almost too high for it to be worth it. Sometimes it ends with both cars in the wall and collecting people who are behind them. So tight corners are generally the ones to send a dive up on. Coming into a fast turn, if you want to get past somebody, make sure you are already right alongside them, maybe even slightly ahead, because sending dives into fast corners can never really end well. Plus, if you're doing some really late dives and if you're not getting past the person because you're not overtaking in the right areas, you're going to be costing yourself lots of time, because you're going to end up going through these corners side by side with people. You're going to be going so much slower because you're not taking the optimal line. So make sure you learn to understand when the right time is to battle somebody. My second tip here is kind of related to the first one, but it's losing minimal time when letting somebody past. Sometimes when people let other cars pass, whether it be an overtake or they're a back marker letting a faster car through, they either tuck in too quickly, they cut across the other car, maybe into a braking zone and run into the back of them, or they are way too cautious. They let the car through and they're losing at least a second or two because they want to give as much room as possible so they don't hit them. Ideally, you want to find a good balance point where you're not really losing much time letting a car through. If it's down a straight and the car is a faster car, then you're not going to have too many issues because the car's just going to go through and you're not going to have to do much about it. However, if the car is the same type of car as you and you're going the same speeds down the straight, don't wait too long to lift off the throttle. If you're letting a back marker through lift off early, let them get back onto the racing line and you follow the corner, follow them through the corner and don't drop too far back. You just tuck in right behind them and make sure you brake a little bit earlier. If you're racing a car and leading back to the first point, if you know that they're going to get through and you need to let them through if they are beside and ahead of you, you can't fight the position, I would suggest to back off a little bit early and tuck in behind them, right behind them, and just brake a little bit earlier. That way you're going to lose as little time possible and give yourself a chance to maybe fight back another corner later. If you're just going to throw your car around the outside coming into the corner and you know you're not really going to get past, you're just costing yourself time. You're not really intimidating them because they have the inside line. They've got the good line, they're just going to go for the position. And they're going to follow the optimal line through the corner and you're way out wide. You're going to lose another second trying to get back on the line. And by then, you've lost your opportunity to attack them again on the next corner. Another occasion might be when you're coming into the braking zone, a slower car and a faster class car is coming through, or even just maybe you're in the same class but you're a back marker, the leading car is coming through into the braking zone. This is where some good spatial awareness comes in, because you need to understand and predict when they're going to be in front of you. If you've got a single screen and they're diving in the inside of you, you can't really understand where they are, but you have to learn to sort of predict where they are on track, because as they enter the corner, you don't want to be stuck out wide and lose extra time. You want to tuck in behind them as you're going through the corner when you know they've gone past, and you don't want to hit them and you don't want to lose too much time. So if you can learn to predict when they've gone past you, or I wouldn't suggest it. You can bind a button to your wheel that lets you look to the right or left, but you don't want to be doing that through a turn because that puts you off. Don't do that. You just need to try and learn, maybe even something like a radar, like the Helicorsa app on Assetto Corsa. I know there's a few options for iRacing. There's a couple apps you can download that you can get a bit of a radar going. But you need to understand when the car is through, tuck in behind them, get back on the optimal line as soon as possible. Doing this will save you seconds. Honestly, if you're letting a car through and you're taking a whole second to get back on the racing line, that's a whole second you could have gained back, and who knows, maybe later in the race there's a car that's spun out and they end up in second in front of you. That's a car that you could have been in front of if you had just let a car through optimally. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do like these kind of videos, please leave a like because it'll help others find this video. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.